Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today we're going to be talking about Clovis Oncology, CLVS. If you would like to know more about the PRs coming for this one, watch to the end. Let's jump right into this one. So right off the bat, we're going to not waste time and go ahead towards their pipeline overview. And they have different products. So product candidates including rucaparib and then lucatanib. And then you got also the FAP-2286 and peptide-targeted radionuclide development program. And you got also different pipeline phases. So for rucaparib, here you got Ariel 4, Athena, Triton, and Lodestar. And you see Ariel 4, for instance, have finished Phase 3, Athena has finished Phase 3 or at the very end, and Triton 3 is at Phase 3 at the end. Lodestar here is at Phase 2 going to Phase 3, so there's PR coming on onto there. Lucatanib, that's Phase 2 coming up to Phase 3, and as well PAP-2286, Phase 1 going to Phase 2. Aparib, whatever you're going to call it, and this is actually approved for indications in the United States, and Rubraca is authorized for indications in Europe. And before going on towards the presentations and the PRs coming up, we can take a quick look into Rubraca's indications and usage. So there's two main ones, ovarian cancer and prostate cancer. And so for ovarian cancer, it's for the maintenance treatment of adult patients with recurrent epithelial ovarian or fallopian tube or primary parenteral cancer. Now I'm just going to leave it on there. Basically, just select patients for therapy based on FDA-approved companion diagnostics for Rubraca. So what we're seeing here is basic limited use for this kind of drugs, but it's still bringing revenues towards the company. In terms of events, I don't see any upcoming events, but we do have earning results from Q4 that we can take a look at. And with that, we do have an updated presentation we can dive through. And so some of the investments highlights we can take a quick look at. Rubraca, commercial drug with potential label expansions. You're seeing here data from Phase 3 Athena and Rubraca as 1 MOC monotherapy anticipated in the second half of 2021. Lodestar tumor agnostics studies may be registration enabled with potential regulatory filing by year end 2021 or the first half of 2022. And commitment of to targeted radionuclide developments, you're seeing that phase 1 to 2 Lumerca study and LU FAP-2286 plan to begin in the first half of 2021. An ongoing discovery program to identify additional peptide targeted radionuclide developments targets. And for novel TKI and IO combo, you're seeing novel inhibitors lucatanib beginning studies in phase 1 to B studies, and that is anticipated for 2021 medical meeting. So that's the interim data. Moving on as well, you have financial resources expending to have funding operations plan into early 2023. And we can move on now from there and right into some of the data that we have. So more than 75% of women are diagnosed with an advanced stage, and patients who are diagnosed with advanced ovarian cancer have a 70% to 95% chance of recurrence, and up to 60% of patients with ovarian cancers may be HR deficient. And so they do have some data there. They also go ahead and talk about Rubraca that was approved in May 2020, and it's the first approved for PARP inhibitor in prostate cancer setting, Foundation Medicine plasma-based companion diagnostic approved in August. You have 7 complete responses, around 20 partial responses, and basically the DOR is somewhere between 1.7 months to 24 months. Now the median DOR by blinded IRR was not evaluable at data cutoff. And safety data for men with mCRPC were consistent with prior safety reports for patients with ovarian cancer and other solid tumors. So it's just kind of summarizing some of their findings. And they do have ongoing trials as well that they're talking about. None of them have dates except this one here on the second half of 2021, and this one successfully met primary PFS endpoint on December 2020. So we can at least get a little bit more information regarding this one here soon in terms of their data points. We have their data points, but the next steps for that, and then as well for the second half of 2021 for the monotherapy data. And we're going to move on. And going on to some of the PRs we're looking for, FAP-2286 imaging and therapeutics, and these both submitted to FDA in Q4 2020, and there's still pending some information there coming on from the FDA. Now, the Lumineer phase 1 study plans starting to first half in 2021 to determine the dose of LU FAP-2286 to be used in phase 2 developments as FAP targeted therapeutic agent. Definitely going to be some PRs coming on to where it's there. I'm not sure how effective they would be in terms of moving the price action. And so we kind of go through there and get a bit more in terms of diving a little. But here's the things that I'm interested in is the financial overviews. We're seeing that Q4 2020 global net revenues is around $43.3 million, up 10% over 2019. And we're looking for the year global net revenue is around $164.5 million, up 15%, and cash and cash equivalents can fund them all the way to 2023. So now we have a little bit of an overview about their financials generally. And now moving on towards some of the news, Clovis Oncology Rubarca significantly improves progression-free survival versus chemotherapy in patients with later line ovarian cancer associated with a BRCA mutation. And so the result of this were positive. I'm not going to go through much of the details of it, but definitely people loved it and the price action flew. But we need to get a bit more understanding if you're considering investing into this one. Coming on next as well was announcing of 2020 operations, and I did cover that in the presentations that we have. But we also have things like here for the top line data for phase 3 Athena trial for Rubarca first in line monotherapy, anticipated in the second half of 2021, interim data for phase 2 cohorts of LIO1 study for, I'm just going to skip to the end, anticipated in 2021 medical meeting, and net cash used in operations were significantly lower in 2020 than 2019. And so we're looking at as well that they have $240 million in cash, which is enough as well again to get them to 2023 pre-revenue. So Clover, or not pre-revenue, with the current revenues, my bad. And also Clovis Oncology to announce the fourth quarter, and they did already. Clovis Oncology presents data to advanced prostate cancer at ASCO 2021. And this one here hasn't happened yet, or at least as I see here, that ASCO annual meeting, it still goes on. I think the annual meeting comes in on June 4th to June 8th for ASCO's annual meeting. So it's still coming on yet for the results of this one here. Moving on as well, Clovis Oncology to highlight data at ASCO 2021, already talked about that. And then we can move on now towards institutional buyers. So institutional buyers seems to be really picking this one lately, especially in February. You get to see all these are actually 13G passive investments, which are even better than just normal institutional buyers. Institutional buyers have been picking up a lot of this one as well, so they definitely see things that we might not be seeing. And so definitely things are looking really bullish for this one here, and it looks like there's a lot of interest from institutions regarding this one. From insiders' point of view, you get to see some selling, some exercising, nothing significant there, so I'll continue to ignore it. And now we can move on towards the revenues, but before doing so, they do have a shelf of around $200 million. That at any point they can exercise and get more cash. But in terms of their financials, you're looking at almost what, $40 million, and they're spending around negative $100 million. In terms of the balance sheet, the current cash they have is around $240 million. So I'm not sure if exactly it's going to last them till 2023. But definitely they are putting a lot of offerings on the side that will get them to 2023. So keep that in mind. If you would like to see more materials like this, make sure to subscribe and leave notifications on. If you'd like to join our Discord, jump ahead down in the description. Let's jump right into technical analysis. Now, from a technical analysis point of view, I only chose to go ahead with the 1 week because it did see a massive jump, and we need to understand how far this jump would go. So two things we're going to do is Fibonacci retracements and supports and resistances, momentum, and this one here. So on a momentum point of view, we're seeing things are looking back bullish. It's above a 0, and that's a bullish thing. Moving averages are almost all inclined to be at almost at the same level. So that's an interesting thing, usually indicating a ticking bomb, which we've seen a really good improvement on Friday in terms of price point action. And we're looking at ADX that suggests the start of a trend, so this is not the end of a trend perhaps. And willing percent R is still sitting in neutral on a 1 week perspective. So things looking like they do have another potential. You see the MACD was going negative, now it's back positive. So things are quite picking up in this one here. And now on towards the Fibonacci retracements, we see a significant support currently sitting at 634, and then following that you're looking at 293. Significant resistances are at 845, 1015, 1185, 1428, and 1737. We can go ahead with some price line actions to understand a little bit where the significant supports lie. So again, we're looking at 646. Below there, we're looking at 624. Below there, you're looking down at 551, 481, and then 409, and then down to 375, and down to almost $3. And then comes towards significant resistances. This is not a new all-time high for it. In fact, there's a very strong resistance currently at the 793. And then above there, you're looking at 841. And then we're looking down up towards resistance off around 1015, 1053, and then jumping up to 1167, 1343. The list goes on all the way to 17 bucks. And this one here seems like it has a good amount of potential in order to spring it up forward a little. We're still looking at 787. That's not even still the 52-week high. And so it definitely has other opportunities to continue this push forward. In the extended hours, things also looked a little bit, well, I would say, stagnant. And you get to see this massive green candle, and it's almost showing in a bull flag at this moment. And so the very significant support to take a quick look at on the Monday would be the 751. What do you think about this one? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. Have a wonderful day.